Hey everyone, and welcome back. A company that specializes in digital microscopes, Andonstar, reached out and wanted me to take a look at one of their microscopes. And this one here is the AD409 Pro-ES. And I'll tell you, if you're in the market for a digital microscope, you probably should get either a very high-end optical one, or if you don't have the money for that, like a lot of us don't, one of these with the little screen on it with the integrated battery, because that makes things so much easier. You can just reach for it, don't need a computer, don't need anything, and you can just get going. This one here, because it is the big boy, it has a huge screen on it. And for someone like me with aging eyes, you know, I'm halfway through my 30s. This thing is going to be awesome. So there it is. Oh, you can see the reflection of the of my workspace up there. But look at this. Look at this massive manual focusing lens here. So yeah, this thing has a couple of cool features I want to show you, but let's unbox it. So we got a remote, which is interesting. And this is one of the features right here. This is a second microscope to get a second angle. I believe it is going to be even more zoomed in than the one on the screen here. We've got HDMI. I think it's HDMI to mini HDMI. What is this? Couple of tips. It looks like maybe like light guides. I'm not sure. We're going to check it out in a moment. We've got some screws with some rubber stoppers. That's probably to adjust the height of the microscope bits. There's a couple look like PCB or slide holders. We've got a USB brick, 5 volt, 2 amp, 10 watt. A angled USB micro lead. Oh, seems like this stuff is pretty big in here. Another USB micro and a little barrel jack, tiny little barrel jack, with a little light control and USB-A. Oh, missing one thing here. This looks like, this is the arm for that extra little microscope thingy. And then a bracket. Fancy, fancy. And, here's a neck piece, it looks like. And a, I believe, weighted base. Let's see. Oh yeah, this thing is quite heavy. So weighted base, that's good. Here's some instructions. Probably won't need those. And so let me just put this together. And here it is all assembled. Assembly process was really easy. There's like a central shaft that mounts, and then the lens portion mounts to the frame. And then this here has tilt, which is awesome, which means it accommodates all sorts of desk heights and stuff like that. I have this set fairly low. You can go quite a bit lower than this, but you can go way higher than this. And in fact, you can go, so high that you can stand your soldering iron upwards in here. But to get it all on screen, I'd had to put it pretty low. You've got these two lights here, and I've got the endoscope set here, but all of this is all variable. You can move it all over the place, and you can tilt the whole assembly front and back. And you've got little PCB holders down here, which I have flipped out of the way for now. You do have a little bit of cable clutter. So the endoscope itself has its own cable with lighting adjust over here. And the focus for the endoscope is here. The focus for the microscope is here. However, there's a little knob in the back that you've got about this much travel to adjust focus as well. So yeah, you can move the whole unit up and down, and then you have the fine adjust up and down, and you've got focus here. All right, so let's turn it on. And so the lights turn on, so they're ready to go right there. And then let me show you just how close the zoom is. Oh, I'm just going to undo this for a moment. So these pads, I'm not sure if you're seeing it, but this is, you can get closer than this, but right now we are close enough to discern sort of the detail in the gold coating on these PCBs here. These are my holiday PCBs. And this footprint is for a 5mm LED. As you can see, it takes up the entire 10.1 inch screen. It is huge. The magnification factor on this is awesome, and it can go even better. I will capture some video later. This wire here, it goes into the display via USB. It goes into the bottom here to power the lights. So the lights don't need a separate power, and then it goes into USB-A. I was mistaken, there are no onboard batteries on this unit. So a little power bank would be useful if you want to get some more stuff done. One thing is that the remote here does quite a bit. So you've got the exposure values here. You've got digital zoom, which if you want, you can go even more zoomy. So times 1.2, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 0.92, and then keep going. And since you've got quite a bit of resolution, the zoom actually works really well. Let's see if I can zoom it back out. Yeah, so it's like, you know, it has a little bit of delay on it. So it's not something you'd want to be using all the time, but it's pretty decent. And then you hit this NTSC PAL button. And then you're going to add, oh, it went too fast. See the delay. So this is the view from the endoscope here with little focus over here. And so you can get quite a wider view if you back it off, and you can go even closer. And then if I switch it again, then you got picture in picture, switch it again, then you've got only the main display. So as it is right now, at the height it is, obviously you couldn't get any through-hole components, you know, in there, but just looking at how you would solder, there is tons of room to solder on that pad. Look at the size of my soldering iron underneath there. So you could easily solder underneath this, even at this really close-up zoom. But if you want to go further, we can move this all the way up. And as you can see, or maybe you can't see, I have my streaming webcam just up top here. And so really I can't go much higher on my desk. This thing is huge and I love it for that. And here is the full working height. I'm actually could probably get a little bit higher than this. And even more so if you actually tilt the base backwards, you're going to get even more working height. But I mean, this is absolutely like tons of room. I did see people on Amazon. Here, look, can stand up my entire soldering iron up on end. I was seeing people on Amazon that weren't happy with this working height, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I could do surgery on an elephant underneath here. But if you aren't happy with this kind of height, then you can actually get like a mic boom extender, and it threads into here. And it gives you another, you know, bunch of height, but I don't really know what the point of that would be. Personally, I think this is tons of room and, you know, hot air rework and whatever. And as you can see on the screen, or maybe you can't because it's hard for me to capture this adequately, but the 5mm LED sort of, you know, pad here is taking up like, I don't know, a quarter of the vertical height on the screen. It is insanely versatile. Like, this is insane. Also, while I'm here on this view, I'll show you, you get a bunch of accessories with the endoscope. So you got a little mirror, you have a little blackout tube so you can see down the end of it. You've got this clear tube that lights a little bit more evenly for tight spots. You've got a more sort of broad one, and then you've got a way broad one. We're going to be playing with those a little bit later. And also there's a USB, because I believe this thing works as a USB webcam, but that remains to be tested. Let's see what the captured footage looks like. All right, here is the footage I am recording. And so this is my macro pad. It has, you know, those mechanical key switches. This is the body of the key switch there, and there is the little contact, the little, you know, gray or sort of, you know, bronze part in there. So you can see very well my hand soldered LEDs here. So these are reverse mounted. You can even see the routing track. As you can see this corner is a bit rounded. That's the routing that the PCB machine did. You can also see that my soldering needs a little bit more flux. And so I'll just move it to the side here. We're going to check another one here. Here we go, over here. So this is a 0805 capacitor. I'm pretty sure it's a 0805 capacitor. And there are, you know, some more solder joints that were hand done that perhaps need a bit more flux. And you can even see the discoloration that happened on these metal tabs from when I soldered. By the way, from this all the way up to the top, I have 230 mils. I left the microscope in the most upright position. So I've got tons of space to do this. And look, you can do your inspection. See these two resistors here? Like, to the naked eye, they look identical, but this is a 101. That's a 10 and 10, that's 100 ohm. This is a 103, so that's 10 and 3 zeros, that's a 10k ohm resistor. And so I'm doing this inspection with so much space between the microscope and the device that these massive legs over here that stick out, you can't see them yet, they're not in the way at all. I've got tons of room. And then here is another one. So these three needed more flux, but this one here looks perfect. This one here could probably use some more flux as well. And then taking a look over here, the refresh rate, I have to say, of the screen is pretty darn good as well. Oh, look, there's a little bubble there. These all look good over here. Let's keep going. Oh, see, this one's pretty shiny here. Oh, next to it, right there. This one's pretty shiny, but these two have daggies. So, you know, see these little points? That means there wasn't enough flux. And what the heck happened to this guy? This guy looks all filthy. 4720's 4.7k resistor. And then here we go. This one looks pretty good. Ooh, a lot of solder on this one. And then we can even peek at the layer lines. I'm just going to adjust the focus just a little bit. So there's the layer lines there. You can see the screw head here, Phillips screw. You can see where my screwdriver made contact in the very bottom. Look at the layer lines here. And then, of course, since I have all that headspace on top, you know, you can see the layer lines all the way down there. So there they are. But you can also refocus and catch ones all the way up here. So you can see the little tracks that the nozzle made. I don't know if I can express how small we are right now. Here's a 5mm LED, you know, pad just to show you the difference. This is freaking tiny. And so you can even see the little blob that the head made, that the nozzle made from the 3D printer. Here we go too. That's pretty cool. So this is up pretty high. Let's bring this down quite a bit and check at it at a different magnification now. Definitely not as much space now, but we are zoomed in quite a bit more. So you can actually see the texture on the plastic here. So we've got about 10 centimeters, so 100 mils from the very top of this board up until the lens. So still got plenty of space, could still solder at this distance, but now you start seeing things like look at this little bit of solder here, a little bit of solder on the top, and you can really see this solder quite well. And don't forget, we've still got quite a distance to go before we're at max zoom. So look, there's a little bubble there. start checking around. Oop, you see some like fuzz, you know, like over here from the I don't know, maybe from the carpet. Hard to say. See little fibers, picking up little fibers, and you can really see the quality of that soldering job there. You can really see that I've done this on camera, blind. There's a little leg for the key switch. See a little solder ball. Catch a little solder ball on top. Little flux ball there. Gonna knock it off. Yeah, there, it knocked it away. And yeah, you can catch all these little things now. Definitely don't have as much space, but let's see what the 3D printed layer lines look like. So I'm going to readjust the focus here. You can check it out over here. You can really see those plastics. Right, you can see a little bit of a daggy here. Oh, look, I got a fiber on the end of my pokey thing. Starting to get in pretty close here. There's the screw casting. Let's look all the way up at the peak of this 3D print like before. Oh, I don't know if I'm going in or out of focus. Oh, I'm probably going out. Let me go the other way. Oh no, we're focused at the max now. I think that's the correct way. Oh. No, I was going the wrong way. Can we focus closer? Oh my god, this is getting close. No, we are at the max here. Alright, let's see if I can bring it back. There we go. Look how small this is. We're really tiny. Let's see if I can find it. There's the tip of my pointing device. You can really see I was having trouble sticking there. Look at how small. Where's the tip of my instrument? Oh. You can see it that small. It's just now I'm lacking the light. There we go. Look how close that is. Really should drop the light source a little bit. You can see some really fine detail. Let me go get something electronicsy and see if we can zoom right in. And here we are pretty much at the opposite end of the spectrum. What you are looking at right now is a WS2812 LED, so you know, a neopixel. And just to show you how close, we've got about 40 millimeters of space between the top of this and the lens. And so my pointing device is tiny. And you're looking through the clear front of this, but yeah, these are the LEDs, the red, green, and blue. And you can see the little silicon chip over here with the gold bond wires going to the various connections. So there are 4 connections in a WS28112, and there are all 4 of them, you know, this quadrant here, this one, and this one. And yeah, absolutely ridiculous how much how small this technology is. And this is just about as close as you can get with this microscope. I also set up the endoscope so you can kind of see, and I put a little attachment on it just to sort of focus in a little bit better. But that is the WS28112, and I can put it picture in picture, and so that we can see, you know, sort of. There's my pointer, you know, touching it here. This is the real, like you can actually see inside of the WS28112. I feel as though it'd be so cool with another lens adapter if you can get even closer. But man, I'll tell you, I can easily fit a soldering iron underneath here. 40 mils I think is tons of space to get stuff done. But let me know what you think. You think this is too low? I don't think it is. Just taking a look at the inputs in the back, this here is the little connector for the endoscope, which is interesting because it's not actually tied to the base or anything, so you can actually remove it from the stand and use it freehand. A couple of lights here, not 100% clear what they do at this point. Here's the little angled USB connector, and you get another one. This one is the one in the, you know, with all of them in a bunch to power the lights and stuff. And here is the one that they give you just for USB-A. And then over there, there's the mini HDMI. Now, it does work no problem with the USB plugged in here to USB-A to be captured by your PC as a webcam. That works perfectly. But when you plug in the HDMI over here to a screen, it turns off the main display. So you cannot have simultaneous HDMI capture and the display, which I feel like none of the Microscope brands do that. I would really love that as a feature. Andonstar, if you're listening, please, if you can put a splitter inside so you can just get the two. I want the screen and I want to be able to capture HDMI. That would be my dream. I know you can capture via USB, but still I prefer HDMI. That would be awesome. Another thing too is if you've got fat fingers like me, these little SD card slots, kind of hard to work, you know, kind of get it out here and, you know, can't really get to it. Got to use some tweezers. I do have a solution for this coming in a future video, but you can, however, there you go. I'm using this 128. I think this is the only one I could find that was free. You can, however, plug into USB and transfer files that way. So in principle, you could just leave the card in place. So that makes this less of a problem because you can use this, you know, as a card reader. But yeah, it would be nice to have a little, you know, have a little extension and have it sit proud, or maybe, you know, a little slot on the side. But you know, it is what it is. Also, what I really love is that the entire screen comes forward, and so, you know, you can angle it to kind of whatever angle you want. There you can see the reflection of the workshop there. So yeah, it's pretty awesome that you get this huge field of view, you know, on your workbench, and you can angle this at whatever angle you want in order to set this thing up, and the base is very sturdy as well. Before we end, I just wanted to pull this thing apart to show you the flexibility of it. And so the microscope sits in here. So this is it there, right? So that this ring goes up onto here, sort of like that. And then this is the mechanism that gives you that fine adjust. And I'll tell you, this thing feels smooth as butter. It is quite draggy. Like you can really feel there's no backlash in there. And this whole thing is quite solid. Also, this end here is what goes into the main post over here. And you can adjust this in and out as well. So if you figure it's sitting on the post like this, you can go, you know, in and out quite a distance, sort of like that, and then you fine adjust up and down, and you can adjust the drag, or you can lock this with this little knob in the back. Quite ingenious. I think they thought of pretty much everything. And so that's it for this first look of the Andonstar AD409 Pro-ES, ES being with the, you know, endoscope add-on here. This thing is awesome. It is great, very impressive on the first shot, and I'm gonna have to set this up somewhere for permanent use, because I think this will come part of my regular rotation. And once I've used it a bit, or a lot I should say, then I'm going to do a review of it. Thanks for watching.